Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the fan-made HD texture mod. So, we're about to go to another section that... we're about to fight Krauser, I believe. We jumped down... Actually, I'm not 100% sure which way I'm supposed to go. I think you're supposed to climb up here. And then it kind of you save down there with the merchant, which will not have that many more encounters with the merchant or that much more of really anything of this game. We are in the final part, but it will take a while to actually get there. But yeah, then you have to walk over to this door, and I think mostly you just are going to use... We really don't have a lot of bullets, so we're going to try and use the rifle, which is maxed out now, doing 30 damage, and the knife. There might be a whole section here where there's like a timed aspect to this and then you can't come back. Much like Resident Evil 5, like this weirdly has a temple vibe to it where there really is no reason why there would be a temple vibe in this area. I guess the general idea would be that the Lost Plagueis cult existed here once before, and they built a temple, but would they be using bricks and mortar in their temple? No, so you'd have to assume that this was just fixing what would have been more just stone placement. And there's just nobody here until you jump down to shoot at. This would have made a lot more sense instead of being on the island if there had been this longer thematic underground city concept inside the mine. And see, this is weird because Krauser effectively establishes this change of how the game works, in that when you see Krauser, you're going to have QuickTime events more than anything else. Like,
so you two are all hooked up now, is that it?
Where's Ashley?
Do you really want to know?
he's painted his face.
That gate. But you'll need 3 insignias to open it.
This is so incredibly video gamey.
One in the north, and the other in the east.
And let me guess, you got the last one.
It pretty much means you're on a tight leash.
Sounds like you thought this one out pretty well.
So you just threw your, I guess, hook, your grappling hook? And this really may be a great example of a point where having more a faster gun might be way more useful than anything else. We can just open that door. We can take some magnum ammo, which I will take now and then immediately reload. 6 magnum shots does feel much more doable. You do a certain amount of damage to this guy, and then he throws he throws a flash grenade and disappears. So this is a much more scripted experience than any of the other fights, because at least in the other fights you had the slight chance. And the idea of dodging through QuickTime events is crazy. You could try a mine thrower on this, but it really wouldn't work. You could try anything. If anything, this is probably the point in the game where you really need your health upgraded. And see, we can come over here and see they're doing the same gimmick again. 3 insignias. Fairly obviously, there was ideas that were pitched in a meeting, and then 2 different teams decided to make parallel concepts around that. Yep. And it's not super crazy as a director or developer to tell people we'll have 2 different teams making competitive ideas. It's just kind of crazy for you to use both of the ideas at that point, and let it be so blatantly obvious that you use both ideas. And they've done, I guess, as much as they possibly could have done to keep these 2 sections apart, but I guess not really, because you could have had a door with an insignia at the very, very beginning of the game in the village. Yeah, and I just was trying to, just trying there to knife the guy, and it's just not working. And the cutscenes are just getting higher and higher. As far as where we're at. Actually, I think my health has one more upgrade, as weird as it may seem. So we can't flip the switch and we can't go here yet. But yeah, the QuickTime event prompts are happening faster and more frequently as I have to dodge him. Which I think will switch over. Like, ideally, what I would like to do is only use this in the final boss fight and just hold on to all the magnums for the rest of the game.
What
And
do you
it's
intend to
weird
do
to have a cutscene
Bring
here.
order and balance to this insane world of ours.
A psycho like you can't bring order or balance.
You don't seriously think a conservative mind can chart a new course for the world, do you?
Conservative being a very weird word for the West, because like what conservative means in the United States, particularly in 2022, means something completely different than what they mean. When he says conservative here, he means keeping things the same, conserving the status quo. It would have been better to translate or localize that to a dull mind. Just call him stupid or weak mind. Holy Beast Panther. So yeah, it seems kind of unfair.
Don't just stand there. Come out and fight like a man.
I'm not falling for that one.
Just trying to have fun.
Like, it's kind of unfair because he has this whole knife attack he can do, and I just don't have enough time. There we go. Life is now at max to do the same trick. And even if you're getting the shot off, it's not good enough. Yep. And you had to defeat him. So there's no real help on that. I guess what you shoot for here is, this is kind of a block pushing puzzle, but it's really not that complicated. We would use the first aid spray next. And I really could just use this green leaf, but I really shouldn't. Mine layer's not going to really work. Shotgun might work. Honestly, I may just need the Magnum, even though I'd like to hold on to the Magnum bullets for the final boss fight. Every time I've ever played this game before, I've used the rocket launcher, special rocket launcher, to beat Sadler. So I suspect there's a high chance, particularly since we're playing on professional. If I was playing on easy, we probably would have just a ton of bullets at this point, and everything would be so easy. Alright. And then he throws in these robots. Now, do these robots deserve to be in this game at all? Absolutely not. This should be either Las Plagas characters again, or it should be dogs. It wouldn't hurt to have brought back the dogs. Seriously? You got one over here trying to blow up. You've got another one trying to shoot us as a electric drone. It just doesn't make sense that you would introduce enemies like this. And then the whole idea of bringing back Umbrella. Only makes sense to people who have played the previous Resident Evil games. Otherwise, Umbrella is just the name of a company that was mentioned in the intro cutscenes.
My past, I suppose.
Umbrella.
Interesting, we didn't have any subtitles in that section either. I guess this is allowing me to get some bullets back. But that's about all I can say around it. And see, I don't even know what I want to do with the yellow herbs now. And this is kind of a point, I think, where the game just straight up checkpoints you. First thing you would do is you would merge that. Yeah. And then I think you would just feed that to Ashley as a green-yellow instead of a green-yellow-red, because Ashley will just never have health issues like that. We could try grenades, certainly. We can load this up and make some room. But, yeah. We're kind of not even halfway through with this boss fight because of the way the sequences are designed. Like, we're going one way. I'm not even sure which way is the right way. Yeah. There's just this piece, which that starts the boss fight with this guy,
Two
the
down,
final part.
one more to go, Krauser.
We'll see about that.
So he changes his attack tactics and turns into a monster. Now what's questionable here is he turning into a Lost Plagueis, or is he turning into a different Umbrella experiment? So you have 3 minutes to take the guy on. And so first things first, I want to just take these. And then I guess we want to go ahead and use this. So much for yeah. Like, the idea of running up to him and knifing him is a very valid move, but only if you're really successful at doing things much faster than what I'm doing them as. And I think probably a lot of that just has to straight up do with the fact that I'm playing on professional. You'd almost think that this would be the time to get a stronger knife after this point. And I guess you probably trigger this quite a bit. And so his heart just explodes. You used to be a good guy. And we've just got to run and jump down. And you may actually die if it explodes at all, so I think you're probably best just putting all the pieces and leaving here. We could potentially come back to this place after it's exploded, or if we can't come back, then we know it didn't matter. And then there's just a metal door behind that. Another chapter end. And we gotta be careful not to overwrite the typewriter in slot 20. So let's just go back and see if we can see anything. And while we're at it, nothing is going to refill our health otherwise, so we have to do that. Yep, this is just rubble and everything is just gone. So, yeah. Again, it's another situation where it's just no turning back. Which that's fine, but it does highlight a bit of an issue. And I guess maybe the lesson to learn here is I had sold like 2 greens, and it is now very questionable whether I shouldn't have sold those 2 greens. I may just have barely enough to actually do something with the handgun. I basically can't do anything with the shotgun. And we've got quite a distance we've got covered to the next save spot. And it seems like there is no merchant at all. Although it would have made some sense for there to have been a merchant there.
So, it seems you killed Krauser too. How shall I return my appreciation?
What are you talking about? I thought he was with you.
What are you talking about? Did you really think I'd trust an American? To tell you the truth, I was contemplating how to get rid of him. But thanks to you, that's no longer necessary.
You were just using him right from the start.
Oh, I must hand it to you. You've demonstrated quite a bit of promise by killing Krauser. When your assimilation with Las Plagas is complete, I'll have you serve as my guard.
Don't really have anything to say around this dialogue. It's
prior engagements.
Slightly less cheesy lines of dialogue compared talking to Salazar instead of Sadler, but I'd say only slightly. Now we're in like this oil rig section, I guess. Which, again, these are just like ideas that feel like they were better used and played out in Resident Evil 5. Just the idea here of a lot of smart Las Plagas characters. One with a Gatling gun.
Damn.
And maybe focusing a little bit more on cover-based shooting.
Hey, it's about time.
Sorry, bad traffic. I'll cover you.
It almost feels like you're supposed to be... You were supposed to be on better terms with Krauser, and I guess if you knew who Krauser is if you played the previous Resident Evil games, that may have been a factor. I seriously doubt a helicopter could ever knock over a tower like that without crashing itself. Make a lot more sense for it to just start shooting. And I guess the idea is that maybe this was supposed to be, here comes the cavalry to save the day. And they do a little bit of that, but it doesn't completely eliminate everything. So you have this faceless character named Mike. He's gonna do some firepower for you while you run through this sequence. Basically, the way I think this breaks down is you still have to just wait a while. Or magnum ammo. Just double check. Yeah, you don't get to a treasure until the next until 2 areas out. It seems to me like this would be a place you could go, but it actually isn't. So then you have a choice of going downward or going this direction. Yeah, just getting my butt handed to me. There's just too many of them for the mine launcher. And if anything, that really is just proving how that's not going to help you. So you try to encounter more of this, and you're hoping that Mike would save the day, but the game is trying everything it can do. I guess mostly it is just take it slow, and you can get through this whole thing. Wow, that's surprising how much that took. Another yellow herb. The difference here, though, is I don't think this is an infinite. I don't think this is an infinite number of enemies. So Man, getting a ridiculous amount of butterfly ammo here. Like, ideally, what you, I think, would want is for the knife to replace the kick prompt. And that you would just be able to straight up knife people. This is very cinematic, but arguably, at least in this cinematic section, the gameplay is actually here. So they're getting a little bit better. But there's definitely no way you would have sniped yourself, stealthed your way down to this location. I'm just trying to be as thorough as humanly possible. And this is kind of your midpoint where we're gonna do this. Go ahead and do this. Maybe be able to reload this and use this. I'm surprised that worked. I thought people were going to attack me. Hey, where's the guy? Where's the chainsaw guy? He's way over here. Which creates a problem. In that I need to be able to take out characters like this. Did we take out the chainsaw guy? No, but he's in a corner. I can run here though and do this and kick the guy. So that's slightly helpful. I could also put 2 greens together and get my health back up, or I can just wait on that. So you have to jump down to turn this to open the gate. And in a lot of ways, like this entire, the game up until this point is really just setting you up for this next section, because this is an incredibly tighter section that we're about to take on. And it almost feels like the guy is trying to shoot me instead of help me. We have like 25 TMPs, so that wouldn't be that useful. I think we're gonna probably have to use the magnums. Right. if you shoot through the if you manage to shoot through the shield a second time, you don't have to worry so much about that. But honestly, there's not a lot of times, not a lot of opportunities in which that's gonna come about, that you actually are gonna be able to yeah. And I just didn't have enough time to get into the menu there and use the health. Alright, so this sets you at that checkpoint, which does mean you then have to come back and get a lot more. And are any of these pickups different at all? Not really. Would the game really have changed? Much if I did have slightly different ammo? I wouldn't say by much. Might benefit you to just kind of wait and see if people are going to come after you. They may jump down here, or they may be waiting up there. I guess the question is, what to do. Let's go ahead and use our handgun on this guy. Alright. It is a audio mess, to say the least, at this point though. You just cannot hear or tell whether it is your friends shooting, and then you can't like shoot a switch to trigger it from a distance. So yeah, you just have no idea if it's their Gatling gun over there, or if it is another Gatling gun somewhere else. And I'm not sure if maybe this section isn't actually more of a infinite ant spawning point, where you do have to rush through it. By the way, you cannot use this. It's telling me to get out of the way. Yep. So, like, he was scripted to blow up this building, which I guess means I could possibly jump down. Yeah, I don't even know what I'm going for here, though. Like, we've got bullets all over the place. We've got spawns all over the place. Yeah. Game was telling me to take cover. And it seems like just the scripted action there of blowing that up, if it didn't actually help me get up here, it certainly helped me see that this was the direction to go. There's nothing to do around that box. The two switches would make you think that there very possibly was something that needed to happen here with a secondary character, but no such truth to that. Yeah, and if anything, I guess I am just going in circles. I guess this was a experiment by a probably different team as far as the idea of crouching. We did do crouching in the village in that like one room where you would crouch behind the trash and the ganados would throw grenades at you. Oh, I guess I could have done that at any point. But you definitely have not been consistently using crouching in the game or doing anything with that concept. Which, it's not much of a horror game. I mean, it's still a horror game, sure, but it's less of a horror game if you can just doubt crouch. I wonder now if, because I have a full Magnum gun, I am not going to pick up Magnum bullets anymore. Or if it is just a case that the game has been trying to give us Magnum bullets because there are scripted drops for it. And at a certain point, I guess I probably do just want to use this. We still are very short on shotgun shells, and very high on rifle shots. And that took more time than it probably should. Like, it's not that that level, which is honestly one of the best levels, I think, for the island section. For a boss fight, this is kind of a unique boss fight, but I don't know if it's particularly good for a boss fight. But then this level's good if the other levels in the island section were very much like that, where there's a lot of bunkers, a lot of up and down, a lot of enemies. Then the island section would be a lot more memorable. Unfortunately, that's kind of the only one of those levels that we ever get. No spinel there, but yes, spinel there, which does make an argument to look up here. And then, if I recall correctly, this whole scene, as crazy as it may seem, doesn't have a fight in it at all, and it's just a falling action section as far as gameplay, in direct contrast to the high action cutscene they're showing in the actual cutscene cinematics. One guy thought he was going to survive that.
Thanks. When we get out of here, drinks are on me.
Yeah, hey, I know a good bar.
And then he gets rocket launched and killed. And then your hopes of rescue are smashed. Because it would be a very boring game if you got into the final boss fight with Mike shooting the helicopter. Although that wouldn't have been terrible if at the last second he showed up and did save the day.
Sure you're the next to go, Sadler.
What's funny is Mike shows up for like 2 rooms as a character, no face.
Ooh, I'm sorry, Leon.
And
Sadler,
he's
you bastard.
a more likable
Nothing
character
to get
than
all
Lewis.
upset about. Don't tell me you've never swatted a bothersome
Which
fly.
honestly would have made a lot of sense if
It's
that
the
was
same thing.
Lewis and he
What
came
did you
back
say?
just in that
Insect's
scene.
life doesn't compare to human lives.
When you've acquired this power, you too will understand.
Guess it's another good reason to get the parasite out of my body.
I wish you luck.
It is worth pointing out there, like the idea of insects' lives being less than human, worth less than human lives, is an idea that definitely would be a little less popular in 2022 and later. There's a lot of people that will actively spend their energy to not kill insects and instead just release them outside of their house if they're inside the house, or leave them alone if they're just out in nature. That may be something, though, particularly for the Japanese, that they wouldn't even think about, so that exact line of dialogue might get reused. That would be a problem, I think, in general, though, if we got a remake of Resident Evil 4 and every line of dialogue is the exact same line of dialogue. Very often games say they're going to be modernized in one way or the other, and what modernized means, who knows. A lot of times it's modernized in the sense we're going to do censorship and we'll get rid of the skirt of Ashley, which they probably will, and it's not really a big enough deal to go on a tirade about, because that really wasn't the selling point of this game anyways. But then sometimes modernized is just straight up, we're going to change the dialogue to be realistic, more realistic, or we're going to change the dialogue to be less realistic. I've seen some localizations of games where they put entirely different conversations in the English translation than what is in the Japanese translation, in the sense that it's not even the same meaning, it's not the same conversation at all. It's just ridiculous translators adding artistic content to editorial content. I've also seen them add just a bunch of like internet slang, leet speak in games, and that too can be modernized, mean what they mean by modernized. We will, of course, just have to wait and to see what the remake is, but I do suspect the dialogue and the entire narrative will be different. I guess maybe this was supposed to be yet another entrance to another temple. It still doesn't really make any sense. It would be very surprising if I've never played the Separate Ways DLC to find out that the Separate Ways DLC does take place in places like this, where it does just look like there's cut content. Even if there was a temple here, looking at the map, it would have to go underground fairly quickly, or it would just be one fairly large room. These are the ones that will drop spinners. So I really wish there was a lot more consistency amongst that. That we always had lights that would always have a chance of dropping something. And then, yeah, just more ruins. There's a treasure somewhere here. And the question is it underground or is it up in the air? I'm leaning towards it being underground. I guess we could climb back up. So, not so much a big deal. It's just a pearl necklace. We could run into another spiked room in this section, but I don't think we do.
Leon, you okay?
And weirdly,
Yeah.
we, I think, kind of pass out again, and then time moves forward even more. And you'd think there might be like a quick time event here to stop the Lost Plagueis from controlling you. But nope, she just knees you in the gut and stabs you.
Sorry.
And he's had these pills this whole time and hasn't taken any of them until now.
We have to get that parasite out.
Nor did he give any of it to Ashley.
But before that, I gotta save Ashley.
Fine. Let's split up.
Yep. It'd be funny if I had done the separate ways section and it is just more Ada Wong content. Although that would be somewhat believable too. Instead of playing as Krauser or playing as Lewis. Where are we on the map? Yep, we still haven't gone anywhere to the next section. Then you have a very modern building just built right next to the ruins, which seems weird that you would do that. Almost like it's a retaining wall, but it's retaining the modern day building against the grounding and foundation of the ruins, when it really should probably be the other way around. There might be a lot more game here than I recall. Yeah, this is actually... We've got the regenerator. In the prison section. More magnums. You really cannot complain about getting more magnums. So I guess they just wanted a change of pace here. So we didn't get rid of our infrared scope. We can equip that and bring it back. And the question, I guess, just comes down to, do I want to use a save spot now? When I probably am going to get an end of chapter in just a couple of minutes. I guess some of it probably will come down to just how difficult this really is. Obviously, this prison section here should have been interconnected with that sewer prison section. that we encountered with the insects. Which maybe the insects being a unique bad guy and the regenerators being a unique bad guy doesn't quite work for just one level, but I think here otherwise kind of okay with doing that. Now, what can't happen here is with a couple of extra shots, would I be doing so much damage that he would just explode anyways? And I guess the answer to that is yes, actually that's exactly what happened. Is that it did just take that a couple extra missed shots to do so much damage. Which I bet he doesn't actually take extra damage. How to say this? I bet he doesn't take extra damage when you hit the Las Plagas in him. So 30 damage times 3 or 4 shots probably gets you somewhere around 125, 120, 150 damage. You know what? It doesn't make any sense not to save, though. How many hours in are we now? We're about to hit the 20-hour mark. Which, if this was the game alone, was just 20 hours of the main story, it would have probably been good enough to sell, particularly for the GameCube. Nobody's gonna make some of those arguments that were thought up and invented as far as hours per gameplay as so much as they do now. But they really over-deliver. Certainly that is something that just doesn't happen in video games nowadays. Now it's just how much money can we get through microtransactions or something else, and let's under-deliver at the highest amount possible. Yeah, I don't know why I would have any much use for the stun grenades here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, which had I combined it with this and this, would have gotten me at least 20,000 extra gold if I was going to sell them. Then for actual health refill, we've got all of that. Noticeably, we really wouldn't have much room for another gun, though. There might be an idea here. I could use the mine launcher, but I kind of don't think I could. The mine thrower. Nope. This is very much. Let's remove this. So, like, the game was basically just designed so that you can have to remove have to remove the scope. And do we have enough for the shotgun? Where is he? Alright, well. Okay. Jump down here. About to die. He's gone. But he's the real danger. Everybody else, if there was even anybody else, are relative pushovers compared to him. This does put you in a weird position, certainly, though, where this encounter is just a little bit too easy. Like, it's just kind of not what you would expect after those two longer encounters. You would kind of expect them all to be longer encounters after that point. Let's go ahead and get this pesetas. We may be very much in a situation though where just nothing there. Alright, well. Geez, I wonder if that means there have been other areas where I've potentially not opened both cabinets. Or all the cabinets. Nope. Seems like you can only open one cabinet in every other situation. It's starting to feel rather pointless to be getting all of this collectibles, all these pesetas. I need to get the card reader card. Okay. You'd almost expect there to be a whole second group of enemies for as easy as I burnt through all of that. But honestly, I think it was really just using the mine thrower, which is continuously proving itself to be useful. I've been able to do quite a lot. Every other time I've played this game, when you've seen me try to use the mine thrower, I've ended up instead having to use the broken butterfly. Seriously? So much for needing the key, or needing to go get it. The enemies literally just walked straight up to me. Is there anybody here? Nope. We could try and find some people. Yep. Is this an infinite spawn of enemies? I don't know. Am I getting tricked into not watching my back? Yes. Is there something else to get over here? Or am I just supposed to follow the glowing light? Seriously? That guy's straight up stuck in the wall. And there goes all of my handgun bullets. If I was gonna have any hope here. I think you may get more headshots. Like, you may get more headshots and more exploding Las Plagas heads because you're using the handgun, which may make it a little less fair than using like the TMP. But you really would have to run the numbers, I guess, because there was 2 headshots also. And you just never know in this game, I guess, what triggers what, so... As far as you know, unlocking the door there would have been... led to your doom. We just have way too many items. Even if you do bring all of this with you in New Game Plus, which maybe you do, I'd be willing to potentially guess that there's a possibility on that. You don't need any of it. It really should just be all sold. Best case scenario, you keep 2-3 incendiary grenades just out of an extreme amount of caution. And I guess it also might be kind of pointless. There are several spots now where I have poorly organized around this. Let's check the map. Just constantly checking the map, constantly being prepared for the next encounter, and if you're lucky enough, you'll remember what the next encounter is, and that will help you. Is this the other side of a path where we've been? I don't think so, but it would be kind of funny if we walked right alongside this path at the very beginning of the game, and now we've just gone full circle. I wouldn't actually be too surprised if that's exactly what happened. Alright, well. We just don't have time. These guys take forever to decide to fall down and die. Suppose that's a good point where there might be an argument to getting a gun with a little bit more piercing power, so that you could handgun shoot through the cages. But the trade-off of not having 5 times as many critical hits chances is just way too high. And here we have another cutscene where Ashley is in a machine, which I don't know why she needed to be both in an electronic machine and a magical ritual. Seems like there is a odd combination of both.
Whether you like it or not.
Ah, the audacity of youth.
And I don't think in this cutscene that there is. I don't think there's any QuickTime events at all. But they are definitely setting yourself up for the idea of Sadler being the next
Leon,
boss that you're
now!
going to fight. I guess this is the only reason that makes sense why they were constantly trying to kidnap her, or why they were constantly not just letting them escape. Unlike the zombie virus, it seems that the Lost Plagueis just take way longer to mature and take over. And I guess the implication there is that Sadler is almost immortal, or Sadler was killed at that point, which that would have been really weird too. And we have another Lewis is memo. Right, so I want to see what we can see on the map first. Yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the game, but there's going to be so much more to the end of the game anyways, that we'll definitely better off making another episode. And oddly, there is another merchant and save spot too. It's kind of like you get a cutscene, then you get a boss fight, then you get the final boss fight. And then I think in the Ada Wong parts, there's some other stuff. Let's see. We don't have any treasures that would combine with anything. Or anything like that. So this is our last opportunity, potentially, to like upgrade or sell anything. Broken Butterfly with about 25 shots. Mine Thrower with 10. Sniper Rifle with this not equipped. Shotgun with very few shots. Handgun with very few shots. And a whole bunch of stun items. And if you wanted money, you would just give money, but let's just see. Ashley was upgraded once. You give her one of those, Ashley gets upgraded twice. You give her those, Ashley is upgraded 3 times. You give her that, she's upgraded 4 times. And just like that, Ashley now is at full health, double the health, even though you really never needed to upgrade that at all. And with that, that means we can sell any red, yellow, greens in a New Game Plus scenario, or if we happen to get any more.
Welcome. Got a selection of good. What are you selling?
Let's see, flash grenades, 4 for
all,
2,000.
Thank you.
Incendiary grenades and hand grenades will keep. You could sell the infrared scope for 10,000 at this point, because I am fairly certain you don't use it again. Although I very possibly would have made that same argument a while ago. Definitely sold 2 emeralds. Definitely sold this. We've done pretty much everything perfectly as far as all of the weapons and all of the treasures. So, could we get to 150,000? No. Which, that sucks. And could we upgrade this? Yes.
What are you selling?
You could sell this for 30,000. That would be insane. You could sell any of your other guns for quite a lot. But yeah, you can't get to 30,000 extra gold.
What are you buying?
And I guess what we do here is we just don't make a decision.
Anytime.
Truth of the matter is we get one more opportunity at least to go to the merchant. And I don't think there's actually a save spot here. So let's go a little bit further. I think we get a chapter end, and then you get a really short chapter. Can't move fast enough. Can't move fast enough. Can't move fast enough. I did not realize there were going to be other people here. If they end up on the ground in this fashion, you tend to be able to hit them in the head. I guess this is just one more surprise section. Just a little hallway that really doesn't have any reason to be here, and the game's feeling a little wonky. And so you've gone full circle, and you're back in this room. And yeah, I think the fight with Sadler in this room is when you're playing as Ada Wong, which would make a lot of sense. And then you have like computers and technology textures that may have been in the laboratory, but I'm not sure if this computer monitor and this computer, like, I'm not sure that's used anywhere else in the entire game. You would think that there would be some pickups or something if we were gonna fight in here. Otherwise the game is just screwing you up. Magnum ammo, that's totally worth it. Can't jump down. There might be some wonkiness, a little bit of hitching happening here because of the fire effects. There's not a lot of points in the game where can't shoot that. Where you just have open fire effects. But there's a couple other places. And it may just also be that the game is just been running too long. I guess there are no more treasures. I guess what we're probably doing is we came that way and then we're going back. Nope, that would take you back the wrong direction. Then we came back through this direction. It almost would make sense that this would be the point where you might turn all the way backwards. Is there another door here? Yes, there is. So that was just a side area. You could go back and you could get a little bit more resources. And then you get into a completely different
I don't know about this, Leon.
item.
There's only one way to find
A
out.
completely different
You
piece of
operate.
equipment. I don't know why they would even build this piece of equipment. It would have to be something that Lewis
You sure you
secretly
wanna do
built.
this?
Yeah.
You can see the Lost Plagueis is right around
Alright.
his heart.
Here goes nothing.
This would also make a lot of sense for Lewis to be the one in charge of building this and coming back and saving the day because of it. And then that would give Lewis a lot of reason to run off and get pieces of equipment
How are you feeling?
to build
Like
this.
$1 million.
I thought you were gonna die. Alright. Guess I'm up.
Subtitles still wonky. So here we get to hear her grunting in pain, almost slightly sexually.
You
But
okay?
they cut the procedure a bit there. And this is another jump
know about
of just
you,
Ashley
but I
being
think it's
happy
time
to
we go
see
home.
you, without that much characterization as to why she would be that happy to see you or appreciative of you. Like I get at a certain point it would be ridiculous for her just to be a spoiled brat and have no connection to Leon at this point, but there's definitely some levels here where Leon she could be mad at the situation or just pissed off at Leon for letting her get kidnapped so many times. This is 1954. I'm trying to keep each chapters in this. So this is 1826. So we barely have enough save spots to have one of each chapter in. And we're at chapter 5-4. And so now they are not infected. We have no more keys and treasure. We have as many bullets as we're going to get, and possibly with the mine thrower and the broken butterfly we can succeed there, but I suspect maybe not. And then you just have a setup for the final fight, and then the final fight, and we will do that in the next recording. You can see there's a lot of logs here, but almost none of it really matters. Luis really could have just been an off-screen character for as much as he's not been on screen. And of course, like I was saying before, you could have merged him into Mike, and you could have had him doing a lot more. I really am crossing my fingers and hoping that Separate Ways is actually playing as Luis and giving him a lot more backstory. Ada Wong too, same situation. If the Ada Wong side game here wasn't ever created, then you would have just seen Ada Wong show up in a few places, and it would have just been, what was her deal? And they maybe would have tried to sell a book or something to show what was happening during that time, or sell a separate game. I'm glad they didn't sell a separate game. If Resident Evil 4 had been released like Resident Evil 3, where there was Resident Evil 3 and then Resident Evil 3 Code Veronica, even though I think a lot of people like Code Veronica, I don't think it would have succeeded that well. If there had been a Resident Evil 4, then Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways, then Resident Evil 4 Ada Wong, that would have muddled people's memories a lot more. And I think for the most part Capcom learned their lesson on that, because they never really did that again until DLC became a thing in like Resident Evil 7, where you had downloadable content that expanded the stories. At a certain point, I kind of felt like the DLC in Resident Evil 7 was a way for them to do the stupid stuff that Capcom seems to love to do with Resident Evil, but not make it actually affect the main story and the main gameplay content. Go a little bit out on a limb. One of the DLCs in Resident Evil 7, you're playing as a character that just punches things the entire game, and that would be too weird and a little too silly for that to be a major part of the main game. Anyways, yep, we're still doing great. We're almost done with the main story, but there's still a lot to at least look at. And the HD texture mod still doing as best as it can, although the HD texture mod itself, I think, fails to really improve the unimprovable, as far as the island being mostly rusty textures and walls and rocks. What's funny is that when they were working on the fan-made texture mod, they kind of were working from the beginning of the game to the end. So I imagine it was actually way easier for them to finish the project once they got outside of the castle and into the island, because yeah, there's very little you can actually do with rocks to make them look more like rocks or better rocks. It's worth mentioning too that had this fan-made project not come out now, 4 or 5 years from now, 2025 or so, the upscaling technologies that are just built into NVIDIA graphics cards and AMD graphics cards, using like deep learning AI image generation to upgrade something and upscale something, those technologies are going to become so good that it will be very redundant for somebody to hand recreate a texture or in a higher resolution. Also, most games that would be getting remasters at this point probably have 2K, 4K original source images, if not 3D models that would just be scaled up in vector art, so they could always be scaled to be bigger and look bigger. Although bitmap textures still would be kind of hard to draw in vector art, but I bet that there are more people doing that. Yeah, there really aren't that many more games that need HD remasters, and I think it'll probably be another 10 years before people start trying to sell the games once again with 2K, 4K, 8K, 10K, 12K remasters of their games. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.